This week on this special edition of UAE Weekly, we speak exclusively to the President and Group CEO of Jumeirah Group, Gerald Lawless, and look at the history and philosophy of the Jumeirah brand and how he has been able to help in establishing Jumeirah as one of the premier luxury hotel brands in the world. So where does Jumeirah go from here? We find out the group's global aspirations and what he thinks Dubai will bring to the World Expo come 2020. Jumeirah Hotels and Resorts are regarded as among the most luxurious and innovative in the world. The company was founded in 1997 with the aim to become a hospitality industry leader through establishing a world-class portfolio of luxury hotels and resorts. But how has the group been able to achieve such high standards of excellence in what is an extremely competitive industry? Well, according to the President and Group CEO of Jumeirah Group, Gerald Lawless, it all starts with a great foundation. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Firstly, the growth of the luxury hotel and resort sector around the world has been phenomenal, and the Jumeirah Group is regarded as a key player in this fiercely competitive industry. What is behind the success of Jumeirah?
Well, I think behind the success, we always talk about the development of a brand and how brands are growing around the world. And I would like to remind people really that a brand is based on the original product, not actually just on marketing, just saying, oh, Gucci is a great brand, so therefore we'll advertise Gucci. No, the actual Gucci product had to be good. Similarly with Jumeirah, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed gave us this incredible series of hotels, from Jumeirah Beach Hotel to the Burj Al Arab to the Emirates Towers, where we started the Jumeirah Group, and of course Wild Wadi Water Park. And with these hotels coming together and really beginning to redefine tourism into Dubai and redefine how guests could enjoy themselves here in this great city, I believe that has been very much the foundation of the brand of Jumeirah that has allowed Dubai to evolve and develop in the luxury segment of travel and tourism worldwide.
Looking at your domestic operations, the group was founded in 1997 and you have been at the helm from the beginning, tasked with delivering the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, UAE's Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai. You worked on the development of Jumeirah Beach Hotel, Burj Al Arab, Wild Wadi, Emirates Towers and then Medina Jumeirah. How were you able to successfully realize all of these projects?
Well, like I've just said, we started with a great foundation and knowing that Dubai is very much about quality. And again, from His Highness, we know that unless you're number one, then he's not really interested. We have to be the best in our classification, the best in our category. And that's how it started with Jumeirah Beach Hotel. And I genuinely believe that we're only as good as the people that we employ and the people that work for us, the people that work around us, the teams that we have within the organization. And it's something you always find in the hospitality business. The people who actually work within the hospitality business are incredibly positive, forward-thinking, can-do, energetic people. And it's been very much having the opportunity and the ability to be able to put these great teams together that we have been able to develop and evolve the brand of Jumeirah to what it is today. And yes, it is a great challenge. I like to think of it as positive stress to really come forward and try to develop these properties. And of course, we get great pleasure from running hotels because once you talk to your guests, when you see the guests are responding so positively to what we are doing, you can't help but be satisfied and happy and positive yourself. This always happens. That's why you find so many people within our business that have a great forward-looking, positive nature.
Now, the group owns and operates a number of different properties that are located very close together in the Jumeirah Beach area. What was the rationale behind developing them as separate entities, and how do they complement each other?
Well, they complement each other in that we give, within the luxury segment, I believe it's really important that every hotel has its own character, has its own personality. When His Highness decided to do something like Burj Al Arab, which is truly a unique property, it had to have its own character. It had to stand alone, and how dramatically it stands alone coming right up out of the sea. And also the fact that it is an all-suite hotel. We like to describe it as the world's most luxurious hotel, and I truly believe it is, but also it's unique. And we say this very much about all of our hotels. We say Jumeirah, stay different. And though yes, they are clustered very closely together here in Dubai, each hotel does have its own character, does have its own identity. And in the luxury segment, this is important for our guests. Our guests don't want this chain feeling. They like the security of a luxury brand. They like that everything that goes with it from the point of view, they feel that their own status is enhanced by staying in a brand such as Jumeirah, in a brand of hotels such as Jumeirah. But also it is really important that the hotels are individualistic, they have their own character, they have their own personality, because this really reflects what our guests are about. Our guests are individuals. So when we say Jumeirah, stay different, we're talking to our guests when we say that. We say, you are different, you are unique, we want you to stay that way. But we also want you to stay with a hotel brand that really understands this uniqueness, and therefore each hotel you stay in will give you a different experience, will have its own unique character, and at the same time we will have the golden thread of the Jumeirah culture going through each hotel in the way we look after our guests.
And what is the Jumeirah hallmark? How would you describe it?
The Jumeirah culture has been based very much on what we call our 3 hallmarks. And our 3 hallmarks are really basic behavioural instructions that we give to all of our colleagues, but that we live them ourselves as well, and that we like to lead by example in what we are saying to our colleagues, so that our guests will really get a consistent but at the same time individual treatment. And the first hallmark that we have is that we will always smile and greet the guest before the guest greets us. This is important because I believe for employees, we should be connecting with the guest. It's a guest's privilege not to respond if the guest doesn't want to. Most guests do. Most guests are very happy. And they talk to us and they say, you know what, everybody on the corridor, everybody, even they're cleaning a room, no matter what they're doing, they say hello, they say good morning. And we don't tell our employees, our colleagues, what to say to the guest. We say, you greet the guest. You're intelligent enough to know what is the appropriate greeting in the appropriate circumstances. And this works so well for us throughout the organisation. Similarly, when I drive around, if I'm driving around Medina Jumeirah, my car coming from my office, I will always wave and salute a colleague. And by the way, if the colleague doesn't wave back, I have a little word with them. I'd talk to them. Similarly, you know, when we have security at lots of our entrances, and I always say to our security personnel, I say, look, you are here not to keep the guest out. You are here to welcome the guest and to protect the guest while the guest is here. This is the purpose of security. So this is our first hallmark. Our second hallmark is that as a first response to a guest's request, we will never say no. And this works so dramatically for us because I believe it's very much within the Arab culture that you don't just give a blunt no to a question, even if you believe no is the answer. Whereas in the West, we think that's appropriate, but it's not really. And it's much more polite to say, well, now let me think, why is the guest asking me this? What's in the guest's mind? Try to, we say to our colleague, get into the guest's mind, get in to understand why you've been asked this what seemingly doesn't seem to be a reasonable request. And very often we will think of a compromise. We will think of a way that will satisfy the guest. And if we can't, we always say to our colleagues, ask your colleague in turn for some assistance. So at least the guest sees you're not just saying no dismissively. No, quite the opposite. You're doing everything within your power to make it a yes answer. And our final hallmark is that we will always treat each other with respect and integrity. And this is a promise we as senior management in the company that we make to all of our colleagues, and we ask our colleagues in the workplace to show each other respect, to show each other that we can treat each other with integrity. And you know what? The guests notice this as well. It helps create the whole atmosphere and what we like to call the culture of Jumeirah throughout the organisation, and indeed, most importantly, in the eyes of our guests. So this really is the culture. Then you might say, well, is that what you do to export your brand? How do you export your brand? How do you make sure we get the same standards abroad? And it's exactly that. We're not saying that every single thing has to be the same standard, but you must apply the hallmarks wherever you are. And this is what I call the golden thread. This is where the culture of Jumeirah comes across to people. And people do, our guests truly do appreciate this culture that we've managed to establish over the years in Jumeirah.